activities, and particularly the way they recruit youngsters, is a huge concern for many parents, and is tragically something our next guest has first-hand experience of. Emma's son, Joe Dix, was fatally stabbed at the age of 18 after being groomed and exploited by a county lines drug gang in Norwich. His heartbroken family have since set up a foundation in his name. Family friend Lorraine Bliss also joins us this morning. Thank you so much for being here with us in the studio. I'm so sorry to hear what happened to Joe, Emma. Just so incredibly devastating. Can we just start by you telling us a little bit more about your son?
Yeah, so Joe was my firstborn and only son. I've got a daughter as well. We describe him as a lovable rogue, really. He had good traits and bad traits, but everyone seemed to love him and he entertained the room. He was really good at sports, very confident, always, chatting to adults. Yeah, he's missed very much.
Yeah, very much so, I'm sure. When was it you first realised that he'd got involved somehow with a gang?
So we think it was when he was about the age of 14. He once divulged to his dad that he was at a local park after school, and he was approached by some people to play football, and then they went back to the people's house, played video games, and over a series of days, weeks, we're not quite sure, they sort of befriended him, and then eventually it started that, oh, can you just drop this package up here? And it was a life Joe couldn't ever get out of.
And it was the 28th of January, wasn't it, 2022? That's going to be a date that you never forget, where Joe was fatally stabbed. So tragic. Lorraine, just to bring you in here, you actually met Joe when he was starting to bring his life around and on the straight and narrow. Why, for you, is it so important to be involved in this Joe Dix Foundation?
Youth violence and knife crime is very topical at the moment, normally associated with drug use, recruitment of young people. We're really passionate to create awareness on the signs, dangers and consequences. The 3 young men that murdered Joe were sentenced to 62 years. It's vitally important that we get to all young people under 18. There's a myth that it's only disadvantaged young people that get caught up in this. It's all young people.
Yeah, and it's this, you've touched on it there, but it's this awareness. You are so passionate about getting the awareness out there of the consequences of what can happen if you get involved in this sort of activity.
Yeah, well, what the aims and objectives of the charity are to go into schools, talk with young people, talk with professionals, talk with parents, anywhere, community centres. We have a helpline that parents and young people can ring for support, and we then are able to listen to Emma and Phil felt isolated when this happened to Joe, so we can listen and signpost on to agencies that can.
That's just so valuable as well, isn't it? And talking about awareness, having more of an idea of the warning signs when it comes to young people being exploited or gangs getting involved is key as well, isn't it? What would you say, Emma, are some of those signs to be aware of?
Lots of the signs that we've worked out are retrospective. So me and Phil have sort of devised this list of stuff that we've looked at since. Lots of things like expensive clothes that you can't explain why your child has got them. Joe would say he'd swap things, but realistically not.
So suddenly, not like he's saved for weeks and weeks and weeks and bought something. These are sudden changes and got these clothes.
Yeah, suddenly appear. He'd come home and have a new pair of trainers, come home and have a £500 jacket, things like that. Mobile phones, he would have more than one mobile phone, so that in itself is a warning sign.
What about the use of the mobile phone? Because lots of parents will say, oh, my kids are on the phone all the time. Is it how it was being used that was of interest to you?
Yeah, definitely. And there were lots of on the phone constantly, but lots of very short phone calls, literally sometimes a couple of seconds, and it'd be, he'd be off the phone again, then it would ring again. A lot of social media, changing of accounts on Snapchat. Other things that we would find in the house would be disposable gloves, little pieces of plastic bags, money, all things that we just couldn't explain.
So any on their own, you may have an excuse or an explanation for, but when it's collectively,
That's
yeah,
the
these are the
thing.
signs.
Yeah.
Aren't they?
So good to just have clarity on those types of things and look out for. And I guess having that ongoing conversation between parent and child, even if the subject matter might be quite difficult, you'd encourage people to have those. You've got information on the website about that, haven't you?
Yeah, we have. And no matter what your child has done as a family, we feel strongly that always have that door open. You know, if you go off and have an argument, always message your child to say that you love them and you're always here, because you never know that one time that they might actually want to open up to you.
Yeah.
And if people don't have a loving family, because not everyone does, you know, there are trusted adults that they can go to get to get help if they really want it. You know, these children.
That talking is just so important.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
And parents, you're there as a parent, and you'll do anything to help your child.
Yeah.
So you know you wouldn't be shocked.
Emma, I've finally just got to ask how you're doing now. This only happened back in 2022. It's something obviously you're still trying to come to terms with in a way.
I think personally, I can say that it's not something I'm ever going to get over. I don't feel like I've grieved Joe. I don't feel like I ever will. But by doing the foundation, we're talking about Joe every day, and everything that we do is for him, and it just keeps his memory alive.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's incredible work that you're doing, and thank you so much for coming on the programme this morning and sharing what is an incredible, difficult story. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.